What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. We gotta talk about the Westfield Mall. Now, I'm not gonna be just making stuff up at this point. I'm gonna be real with you. Malls are really important, but only some malls are important. Now, if you look at many of the suburban malls in America, they're closing down. Obviously, malls and that kind of business isn't doing so great. But downtown big city malls like downtown Manhattan, right? Fifth Avenue, they got some pretty crazy malls. Those are the important malls. You want those malls. Brickell, Miami, you want those malls. Downtown Chicago, you want those malls. San Francisco's downtown's Westfield Mall is by far one of the biggest tourist attractions. And malls, despite them performing terribly, in fact, malls are performing worse than office real estate. The downtown ones, like for example, West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, like the high-end Los Angeles malls, those are the ones that are still really profitable with vacancies as low as like 5 to 3%. Same thing with Westfield Mall, right? This is supposed to be a mall where vacancies should be under 5%. Even Westfield was like, their other locations had only vacancies as high as 7%. And that was only when stores were transitioning from this store to a different store. But for Westfield Mall, the vacancies were up to 50%. And they couldn't make any money off of this, right? And they finally defaulted on a $558 million loan. And now San Francisco is proposing to tear down Westfield Mall and just put up like a massive soccer stadium. It really doesn't make any sense considering that you don't really want that in the middle of downtown. What you really want is like a lot of luxury stores, because these soccer stadiums and these event concert stadiums, like you only really get people walking around when there's an event. Now, most of the times they do sit empty, and this is why malls are really important. Malls are going to be the ones that stimulate traffic, people moving around the area. When there's like a really high-end luxury mall like Westfield that's fully leased out, people want to live around it, right? People want to open shops around it, and people want to set up offices around it, because that will become like a really, really vibrant space, even during nighttime. And you start noticing bars, clubs, restaurants being opened up around Westfield. Now, with Westfield closed, there's less foot traffic, stores are closing, real estate prices around the area have plummeted, and now they want to build a massive soccer stadium. I don't really think that's a great idea, okay? Considering that Westfield is such a good-looking mall. I mean, it's very classy architecture. It was built decades ago, and it made a lot of business for San Francisco, and they didn't want to close, guys. Westfield didn't want to close. The reason why they closed was there was just so much shoplifting in the mall. Now, one of the things that a lot of commenters have said is San Francisco never really addresses the core issue of the city, because what a lot of these owners in these malls and what like the mall investors are saying is like, if you could just lower the crime rate by like 50, 60, 70%, a lot of these stores wouldn't actually move out. Okay, if you lower the crime, clean up the streets, and make sure there's no tents on the streets, if you make the homeless situation okay at least, so many of those businesses will be crawling back. San Francisco is such a high-end city, and everyone I've talked to in the San Francisco tech industry all said it's a fantastic place. They don't want to leave. They're willing to pay that crazy high rent. They're willing to pay one bedroom for $3,500. I know it sounds crazy, but many people who live in San Francisco, they want to stay, right? In fact, San Francisco was one of my top cities to pick when I graduated, but now I don't want to go here. The homeless crisis is insane. There's like 7,000 to 9,000 homeless people at any given time in San Francisco, and San Francisco isn't even that big of an area. It's like a peninsula. It's very compact, it's very dense, and the majority of the homeless individuals are in the downtown core. So you're going to be seeing many tents, many homeless individuals. There's also open air drug market. It's everywhere, and laws are just so lenient. All this stuff, including the defund the police situation, really doesn't make crime any better, right? And a lot of these people who own businesses in downtown San Francisco have all left. Walk through Market Street next to Westfield Mall, it's completely empty. I mean, imagine business and traffic and crime and so bad that even AT&T and Verizon are moving out. That's how bad it is. And I don't think tearing down Westfield Mall and making a stadium is that great of a choice. You want to have this mall. I know some of you guys might disagree with me, but seriously, these downtown malls, they generate so much business and especially the foot traffic for that location. Like if you go to like Fifth Avenue, right? If you tear down all the malls, it's not going to be as vibrant as before. Like downtown Manhattan, right, where Wall Street is, there's not that many malls. There's a few here and there, but they're not really like super big malls. If you open like this gigantic multi-story mall that's huge with like 100, 200 different retailers inside, I guarantee you it's going to be packed with people day and night. And eventually more restaurants, bars, and also apartment buildings will pop up. And look at this, right? When half the retailers in Westview Mall closed down since 2020, it's really sad. A little under half of the food vendors are operating. That's scary. Owners are just done. People who rent, the tenants are done. There's just so much robbery, so much shoplifting in Westfield Mall that nobody could turn a profit. Like I said before, San Francisco, they don't have to clean it up completely. As long as they reinforce some of the laws and just deter some crime, some shoplifting, I guarantee you many of these companies will love to operate in San Francisco. If you go on some of the forums, go on some of the Facebook groups, and you look at what some of the small business owners say, they all say the same thing. There's always some sort of crazy stuff happening every single day in front of their store or inside their store. At night, you never know. There might be like a massive burglary, people stealing restaurant machinery and stuff like that. You even have crazies breaking into like an ice cream store, not for money, just for ice cream. It's crazy. It's just lawless. And nobody really gets arrested. $950 is just a misdemeanor. And the city just doesn't really make that much sense. Nordstrom is also shutting down their Nordstrom Rack. Same thing with Bloomingdale's are shutting down. And it's really sad considering Nordstrom was here for decades. And it was a massive revenue generator for the city. And they rented almost 500,000 square feet of office space, more than some tech startups in San Francisco. People all said that no matter how bad San Francisco gets, no way their mall will ever shut down. But there you go right now. Their malls have finally shut down. Nordstrom has shut down. Salesforce, Charles Schwab, and Uber have all downgraded their offices. Even some of the most loyal companies like Airbnb, who started their business here, are shutting down. And if you look at this, it really does show how bad San Francisco is getting. So far this year, 664,000 hotel rooms were booked like just last year. Now it's like 427,000. That's crazy, right? That's like almost like 40% just dropping in bookings for hotels. This is why one of the biggest hotels in San Francisco, Park Hotels and Resorts, have finally closed down. And comment below, guys, do you guys think like a massive soccer stadium is worth it? The thing about San Francisco is they never really addressed a core issue. You just can't have a bunch of tents everywhere, right? San Diego is like, we know they can't be tents, so San Diego passed this law, which for some reason is very controversial. They banned tent encampments on the streets. I don't think people want to have tents on the streets. It's not a normal thing to have for a city. Go to any other first world country outside the US, you wouldn't see that kind of stuff. Go to UAE, go to Qatar, go to Singapore. You won't see that kind of stuff. But in San Francisco, they don't really care. I think it's a lot of it with like the politics of the city. So they much rather want people just to sleep on the streets. They even passed like laws and bans of you can't actually do homeless sweeps in San Francisco. So imagine you have a bakery or like a cookie shop and like 3 tents pop up. Well, to be honest, you're not going to get any more foot traffic, right? And it's not great for the homeless individuals either. They want a safe space to live and just sleep. They're homeless. They need some help. They need some money. But the city is going broke right now, so they don't really have that much money anymore. It's some sad stuff. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.